Ever feel like you're stuck in a fight or flight response? I know I've been there. At times when life has been stressful for a long period of time or my anxiety hasn't been under control, all of the sudden I feel like I am stressed or anxious all the time. My brain is misinterpreting signals that is sent to it. And one way that we can change that is we can overwrite the signals that our brain is getting. Our brains are amazing prediction machines. They're constantly taking in all kinds of information from our body, from our surroundings, taking information that we've learned in the past, and then making sense out of it to predict what's going to happen in the future. But if we've been stuck in this fight or flight response, our brain is misinterpreting a lot of the cues, and it's making bad predictions. And what we can do is we can help our brain to rewire itself, to reinterpret things around us and in our environment through controlling those cues. And the most basic, foundational, easiest way to do this, in my opinion, is to start with belly breathing. A lot of us, when we're stressed or anxious, we are taking very rapid, shallow breaths up into our chest. And as our brains receive that information, it interprets it as, I'm in danger. Something bad's about to happen. And we can change that by taking slower, deeper breaths down into our belly. The way to get started is to place one hand on your chest and one hand on your lower abdomen or belly. And just start to pay attention to your breath. If you're stressed or anxious, it's likely you're breathing right up here into your chest, almost like we're hyperventilating. Instead, see if you can take a few more breaths, and instead of causing the hand that's on your chest to rise and fall, see if the hand on your belly can start to rise and fall with each breath. It's very subtle, it takes practice, but when we do that, we're slowing down our respiration, we're breathing deeper down into our belly where we're meant to breathe, and we're rewriting the signals that are going to the brain. And the brain will interpret that as, I am safe, I am calm, things are okay. And so it's a really great practice for those who feel like you've just been stuck and your brain or your nervous system has sort of been hijacked by these bad signals and bad interpretations. And thankfully, our brains, they're these amazing prediction machines, but sometimes they can go astray. And we know that there's neuroplasticity though. So our brains can reinterpret information, can rewire themselves, and overcome this by simply practicing breathing. And so a couple of tips I have. One, this should always feel comfortable. So if at any time you're taking huge breaths and it's like you're hurting your belly or it feels like it's too difficult, then ease back. Just take some normal, natural breaths and pay attention, trying to get the hand on your belly to rise and fall, but not really pushing it out or breathing too deeply. So it should always feel comfortable and natural. The second tip I have is that this is a practice. So we don't want to come with the expectation that I'm going to practice belly breathing for 2 minutes today and everything's going to be fine. It's something that we should practice for 2 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day, and do that for several weeks, and you'll be surprised at where you get in a few weeks. But it does take time. It is a practice. So, keep that in mind. And then find moments in the day, if you can, where you're not already worked up and stressed out to practice. It's most helpful to learn a new skill or a new technique when you're not under the burden of stress and anxiety, if at all possible. So pick a time where you're comfortable. Maybe it's first thing in the morning when you wake up, or maybe it's the last thing when you're falling asleep, or maybe it's a couple of minutes that you have to yourself before a meeting. Whatever it may be, try and find these little moments in time where you can practice. It doesn't have to be a huge, overwhelming thing. You don't have to meditate for 30 to 60 minutes. It's something that is a small practice that you can do throughout the day to rewire your brain to get out of that fight or flight response. Change And managing our stress and anxiety doesn't have to be overwhelming. There are small things like belly breathing that we can do throughout the day. When we do them consistently, we can have huge transformations. So give it a try and let me know how it goes.